For days he was shivering about it. But over this was 2016, over the course of a year that his father and mother had been in detention, that everything about him, he had to rethink it, the humiliation and all of that. And when you are doing that to a people of faith, it's only a matter of time before they ask themselves, what do they have to leave? And, speaking as a Nigerian and wearing that hat for a second, regardless of my official position, I'm tempted to ask, whose interest is government, representing in the way they have handled this Zakzaki and Shiite movement issue? Because if it's in the national interest, the government would have respected court orders, beginning with Justice Kolowole's order, I believe on December 2nd, 2016, ordering that he be released within 45 days and that 25 million naira be paid to him and his wife each. If it's in the national interest, government would have done a cost-benefit analysis of this hardline approach that they have adopted, the impact on the economy. Between Saturday and Monday, Abuja was practically shut down. Reading yesterday's papers, all the businesses that operate in the gardens of Abuja say that they witnessed low patronage because people will not come out. If it's in the national interest, we would have wondered what will be the international community, the so-called foreign direct investment that we're expecting. What will they do? What will be their response in an environment where rule of law is so flagrantly abused as we're doing in this case? So I am pained, to really understand whose interests we are serving. And I agree with him that when you try one approach over a period of time and it doesn't work, if you mean well about that issue, reason and logic only dictate that you try others.
Mr. Gusau, if you were to suggest to the government the best approach, yes, you've said they should look at an alternative besides the security approach. You've said they should bring in people that the Islamic Movement of Nigeria members can listen to. What would you tell them to do first if you were asked today?
Well, first of all, I would like to respond to, of course, the issue of court granting orders for release of certain suspects and the federal government, or let me say the president, not adhering to that. On the surface, one can say yes, there is the conflict with, with obedience to the rule of law. On the other side, as somebody who has been in government, I will tell you that sometimes the president is in position to get the kind of intelligence that we are not privy to. He might think that on the strength of the intelligence that he might have, releasing a certain suspect could constitute a bigger risk. I think the number one way to go is to consider calling a National Council of State. At that level, I believe anything can be put on the table. When you call former presidents, governors, people who have held certain positions like you currently have, and bring everything on the table, this is the information that you have. This is why you don't want to release X, Y, Z, and then you begin to have all kinds of views from people. I think that is really important. I am concerned because, the Governor Shetima is the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. If you remember, as soon as that Zaria incident took place in 2015, the governor could quickly summon an emergency meeting of the Northern Governors Forum, and they took certain steps at the level of their states. Because if there are places that risk any security fallout, any threat as a result of security fallout from what is happening, I think the northern states are more prone to that. So there are concerns. I think the first step to go is to consider either a National Council of State or identifying some leaders who have held all kinds of positions, bringing them together to listen to them. Then after that, there might be a need to constitute, I don't know if it's right to call it a reconciliatory committee or whatever kind of committee that can be brought in. But the most important thing is bringing the people that can earn the confidence of both the military and the Shiite group, and then giving them the task of coming up with a way forward.
All right, thank you very much.
This is really, really important.
Thank you very much. Special Advisor to the Borno State Government on Communication and Strategy, Mr. Issa Gusau. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Okay, Mr. Chukwuma, you've heard his suggestions. What would be yours to see an end to this matter?
First of all, I also want to respond to what I consider a dangerous dimension that some government officials, the views they hold on matters bordering on rule of law and due process. We are a democracy, and no arm of the government, no agency of the government is outside the purview of rule of law. I believe our courts in Nigeria are led by judges who are not only lettered in the law, but are also nationals that will listen to the so-called overriding national intelligence that may dispose government to violating the rule of law. You present it to them. They will wait. So to tell, oh, we put aside the legal process and bring up a conflict resolution mechanism to deal with matters that are before the law is what, as a human rights activist, I will not subscribe to. I believe in conflict resolution, but not to the extent of saying, put aside the court. Because whatever you resolve through the process of dialogue, you will still come back to the legal process to uphold it.
All right.
So for me, the government should obey the order to release El Zakizaki and his wife and get them involved in any dialogue, any conflict resolution to bring an end to this festering matter. And there is a clear and urgent need to do so because, as he admitted, this group are dangerously getting close to being radicalized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Innocent Chukwuma, a criminologist. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Sunrise Daily will be back in a moment. Please don't go away.